The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Friday, the 21st day of October, 2022. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamel Hartman. She's Sherry Vanderpool. Sister Sherry, it's your favorite day of the traditional work week.
It is. It is. But I hope everybody else is feeling excited about today because it's just Friday. But I know that might not be so. I feel like I'm trying to adjust my light, Jamal. I got to make sure that this glow is coming through. But okay.
Okay, Popsicle Sherry. All right. Well, Sherry's favorite day of the week. You heard her say just now she hopes you all are feeling great. I don't know if that was a dig at you all, based on what happened last night. But hey, things happens. Greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome Lisa Reed on from the Human Rights Commission for a conversation today. Love conversations like this. We're always talking about rights on this show. The Daily Play is the feud today. Welcome to our newest member of our YouTube channel. We've got, we welcomed her yesterday. Welcome again, Karen Simmons. We appreciate you on, Karen. And folks, you too can become a member by subscribing and then hitting the join button right below the YouTube video. Only those, let me repeat, only those who joined our YouTube channel or are upstanding members of the TDH community will be eligible for all giveaways and prizes going forward. All right. So
sign up.
Well, I mean, I heard it was a lot of action last night. I was like, no, WrestleMania usually takes place in April. Not WrestleMania. World Cup didn't take place in summer. That's next month, FIFA corruption. And cop match, no. St. George's didn't show up again this year. Couldn't be that. Nope. So what happened?
What happened?
And I think what a lot of people pretty much predicted would happen, even those who were hopeful. But basically, the question of the morning is very simple to the audience. It's very simple. And it's, how do you feel about Premier David Burke retaining his position as leader of the PLP and by extension, Bermuda? How do you feel about that? And before we jump into that, Sherry, if I may, I'm just going to check you backstage for a quick second while I address the Premier, Bermuda and Bermudians. All right? I'll bring you back on in a second.
I got my tea.
All righty. All right. So let me just address what took place last night and I guess the imminent response from sectors of the community. All right. Anger, disappointment, but not disbelief or shock. That seems to be the response among many young Bermudians throughout social media platforms. But I want to tell you, get your damn chin up. It's time to work. Words like comfortable, content, compliant, even compromising were used in debates to describe Bermudians last night. Are we? Are you? Are Bermudians just social media complainers without much bite? How do we change our circumstances? Is it to get involved politically, join a political party, or do we understand that the power in our vote is more than just showing up or not on election day? See, As one who has risked his own livelihood to go up against the government for something I truly believed in, I know it's not easy. But when you want better, when you know you deserve better, well, you do what's necessary to ensure you get better. Unless the people of Bermuda are prepared to be uncomfortable, non-compliant, and non-compromising in their quest for what they believe is a better Bermuda, the same behaviors that upset you last evening will upset you tomorrow. The delegates have made their decision. According to reports, just under 100 people decided to keep this ship sailing in the same direction with the same captain. The question now is, how will you, the Bermudian people, respond? As I said to Premier Berto on this very show back in June of this year, I don't think anyone wants you to fail. In fact, if you do well as Premier, Bermuda should as well. Mr. Premier, you fought so hard, almost desperate to some, to hold on to your position. It's now time to fight just as hard for Bermuda and Bermudians, and not just the ones in your circle. Celebrating the fact that you're remaining as Premier is nothing to celebrate, especially when people are struggling. Celebration comes when Bermudians are able to afford to live and work in their country, their own country, without struggle. When Bermudians don't feel the need to leave to make a living for themselves and their families. When that healthcare reform, the one that was promised, is actually fulfilled. And I could go on. There's no time for celebration. There's work to be done. Mr. Premier, the clock is ticking. And to the Bermudian people, it's your job to hold your government accountable. If not now, then when? It's time to work like never before. The question is, to each and every Bermudian, what role will you play or decide to play in the fate of Bermuda? Let me bring Sherry back in. Now that that's out of the way. How do you feel about Premier David Burt retaining his position as leader of the PLP in Bermuda? That's your question this morning.
How am I supposed to come behind that, Jamal? Well, well, I was going to say how I feel. It's it's hard for me in some regard, Jamal, not being there, but I feel sad for those who are. And I shouldn't even say because I'm not there, because the chance is, as always, for us to go back, right?
Mhm.
And be back in the same situation. It's very sad to have seen how Bermuda has declined over the years. And now we're in this space. And as I said to you before, and then we were given some trinkets right before all of this.
Mhm.
Now, what happens? What happens? Do those trinkets just fade away? Do we get all the things that were truly promised for the last 5 years? Like, what are we doing? And if you wanted it this bad, well, do with it what you're supposed to do. And move Bermuda forward. I am sad that the Honorable Curtis Dickinson didn't take his place at this time, because as I've said before, Bermuda needs a fresh start. We need a fresh start. I'm not saying that he was the end all and be all, but I feel like a restart, a reboot would have been nice.
You sound disappointed, Sherry.
Maybe, is that the word?
Well, I mean, that's
Yes.
what Karen Simmons says. She's disappointed. That's how she feels. I'm disappointed. Shayna Smith says depressed. Tanya Cheeseman says disappointed, but unfortunately expected. DJ, was it Dr. Just 2011 says time for ending the use of party politics in Westminster system. Too much blacklisting, lack of human rights, and friends and family. LW says this. All of this work for the people, not just supporters, transparency, honesty. Dr. Just 2011 says, what does accountability look like when none of the officers in Bermuda even work to hold anyone in governance accountable? And Dr. Maria Siemens says, when a people want to be bought, sorry, there will be something sold. Well, I mean, I said what I said just now, and I don't need Sherry, Maya, Phil, Sancha, Larry in any clips that ties them to my words when it comes to stuff like that. You know, people saying, some of the terms I don't want to repeat on this show due to the gun violence that takes place in Bermuda, but, we do a lot of talking. And, one thing that, I liked wrestling when I was growing up, and I particularly liked The Rock, because The Rock would run his mouth, say he's going to do something, and he did it. So this mic, this is not the be all end all for me, right? We're still paying over $250,000 legal bill for a human rights issue we were fighting, which is conscription, against the black government, a civil rights issue. So that's why when I see people talking and saying stuff, I've been in the PLP. I tried the political route. So no, that's not necessarily the answer, and do not fall into that trap. Some of the greatest leaders, the greatest black leaders, were never politicians. Do not be fooled and buy into the idea or be sold the idea that you need to get involved politically. No, you need to hold people accountable. What does that look like? There are many examples. The late Stuart Haywood did it for years. Yes, he got into politics independently, but through his work, environmental, he did it.
Yeah.
Beyond Bermuda, many of the people we quote on a regular basis were never politicians. They were activists. We need more activists, not just loud voices. Say what you want about us, Bermudians Against the Draft. We put our money where our mouth was, and it's costing us today. Larry and Lamont Marshall don't have their higher education degrees in terms of master's degrees because they took a risk for the black men of Bermuda, because a racist, discriminatory law was in place and the government refused to remove it. Well, $250,000 later, imprisonment, names tarnished, the law doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
That's what needs to happen. But we were willing to be non-compliant, we were willing to be uncomfortable, and we were willing to be uncompromising. And unless we collectively as a people decide that we have it within us to do what's necessary for us, then we truly do and will get the government that we deserve. So on you.
And key words, uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable, and it will be for a time until it can get comfortable again. Another key word, transparency. I've been saying that, and Jamal, I'm not into politics, but I know what transparency looks like, and this is not it. We just want to be included. We want to be part of it. We want what we want for us as Bermudians to succeed. If you look at Bermuda, just the visual aspect of it, what does it look like? Gray, gloomy, drab,
Well, interesting times indeed. Let's go back to the comments. How do you feel about Premier David Burt retaining his position as leader of the PLP and by extension Bermuda? Samcat Place says, everyone always worried about getting whitewashed. How about us getting blacked out? Interesting. Oh, and she adds, by our own.
Yeah.
Good morning, James Burgess, to you. Thank you for your support. He says, like you said, the voting is over. Work has to get this island back on track. Mark Arthur C. Phillips says, we live in very interesting times. And Sister Sencha Durham, she says, now we get Burt 2.0. Buckle up, guys. What does that look like? Is it worse?
And is anything that you sprinkled in front of us really gonna be what it says it's gonna be? Like, you said it. Now, what is the work behind what you're saying? And where does this leave Honorable Carter Dickinson at this point? Where does that
Oh,
leave
he
him?
he he said that he will continue to work hard with the PLP. And what does that look like? We don't know, but
Yeah,
I truly believe that it's now on Mr. Dickinson and Mrs. Ming to hold this government accountable like never before. Um,
yeah.
as I said last night, Bermudians need to remember the delegates made their decision. Now it's on the people of Bermuda. LW and Renee Simmons for you, Sherry.
We want our money to be spent wisely. We want no need. We want no need a plan for economic recovery.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we do. Renee Simmons says, when the righteous increase, the people rejoice. But when the unsavory rules, people groan, disappointed to say the least.
Mm, mm. Dr. Maria
I guess she
Siemens
said
says
it.
they don't want independent thinkers. Ask me. They want a party, a gang protection. She goes on to say there is a real disagreement within PLP. Teresa Emery says, but nearly 40% of eligible voters didn't support Bert. And how, excuse me, and how many that did felt compelled for one reason or the other? Guess we'll never know. Well, again, I think it was what, I don't know. Some reports are saying it was 97-56.
Right.
Well, Mr. Dickinson got more votes than the Premier David Burt got in his initial run to become Premier. But there's a lot of questions to be asked. But the PLP Constitution can't be taken through, the courts, apparently, right? If things were done underhanded. This is the risk we run under the Westminster system. I don't want to get into talks about independence. I just don't think I don't want to get off track with it. But
Right.
if we want a different way, then we have to say it. But I want to address a comment I saw last night, someone saying that both candidates are conservative. I don't see the difference anyway. You all act like conservatism's an issue. Black people especially have probably benefited from conservative policies more than liberal ones. Like, let's be clear. Now, I don't subscribe to conservatism or liberalism. Let's be clear. What I subscribe to is what's in the best interest of society's most vulnerable people. And whatever that may be it opportunities through jobs or entrepreneurship or social support.
Yeah.
But the idea that we subscribe to some conservative or liberal ideologists, like, folks, those are not the only two ideologies that exist. And as long as we imprison ourselves to think like that, then are we really making progress? Like, come on.
And what you're saying, Jamal, is remove yourself from it and look at what is in the best interest of the situation.
Yeah.
What is in it? And I don't know, people don't live by that. And it's very interesting.
How do you feel about Premier David Burt retaining his position as leader of the PLP in Bermuda? Charles H. Jefferson II says, I feel like many of the Premier's supporters mistakenly believe that last night's result was a mandate, with only 150 plus people making a decision for 60,000 people doesn't equate to a mandate. Well, Brother Charles, I want to say this because I said it on Jamal Hartman Unfiltered show some weeks ago, when I said, if you look at the numbers after, it was said that the Honorable Mark Bean stated the PLP could lose the next election if David Burt remains as Premier. And folks, if you look at the numbers, like look beyond the 36. If you look at the numbers, the PLP got close to the same amount of votes as they did in 2012 when they lost in the last election. So it's not, don't be fooled by 30-6.
Yeah.
There's a way in the PLP, and someone said it some years ago, that people will complain, but they'll get over it. I'm not quite sure we're there. I'm just not quite sure we're there. I don't know. We have a grudgeful electorate, man. And it's a necessary one.
Yeah.
LW says, my wish was that the delegates voted on behalf of Bermuda and not for friends.
He put the laughing button.
Yeah, you deserve a laugh for that. I'm sorry.
I want to know who they
LW
are.
goes on to say, ain't nobody more conservative than the church voters in Bermuda. Michael Daniels says, I've been talking about achieving consensus. Am I on the wrong train? And then Ashfield Defense says, congrats to Premier Burt and his supporters. Condolences to Bermuda. Well, if you're just tuning in, folks, you can go back to see what I said earlier in the show. I'm not going to repeat it. But I'll say this much without repeating what I said earlier. The delegates made their decision. Bermuda, it's now over to you. Shamari Talbot for you, Sherry.
Mr. Dickinson would have shielded the PLP's record in the next election. I'm not sure if that's a good thing. With Mr. Burt as leader, the PLP now must walk into the next election facing the full force of accountability.
Well, I'll tell you who else is accountable. Every last person that endorsed Premier David Burt is accountable. He sent us WhatsApp, and it was basically showing who endorsed him. And I don't think there were any surprises, but you're all accountable. And I'll tell you this, BIU members, the blue-collar, hard-working members of the BIU, oh boy, hold your president accountable. We've got our member, Rashida Godwin. She's a member of the YouTube channel. She says, is it time for a new party? The split is on its way. Well, I think Sherry brought that up earlier. Like, what will Mr. Dickinson do? Well, is a new party the answer? Or is it time to fulfill the constitution of the Bermuda Progressive Labour Party and, by way, the will of the Bermudian people if they so choose, and becoming a sovereign state? Because, folks, we can't have it both ways. If you want to say in who your leader is, well, you're not really going to get a say based on how David Burt remained premier last night. So you're in a tough spot. Now, if you're a sovereign, you would have that right? I'm not pushing independence on you. I'm just making you consider your own, position. Wesley Robinson
just provided the information. Unfortunately, there are too many divides in this country, resulting in where we are now. Division of race, division of age, division of policy. This puts us in the climate we're in now, where Bermuda suffers. The rabbit hole is deeper than the surface waves.
Man, you're all making this seem like a funeral, boy. Man, I think Sherry asked this earlier, and I think this is one thing that we should request. The delegates should be named so the access to special perks can be monitored. I would concur. I know it likely never happened, but you know what's interesting? I'm actually shocked. I am shocked that the delegates list has not been leaked. I'm actually shocked that the delegates list has not been leaked. Folks, we've got a special guest in the background. We've got Lisa Reed from the Human Rights Commission stopping by today. We're going to take Maya's out today. Now, Maya took a day off
on the
day
right
after
day.
This election, and I'm got the news break. Buckle up, folks. It's time for the Daily Hour news break. All right, time for the Daily Hour news break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Well, if you haven't been listening or watching Sherry and I, David Burt retained his position as leader of the PLP and by extension Premier of Bermuda after defeating former Finance Minister Curtis Dickinson last evening. PLP delegates decided that they were comfortable with Mr. Burt, who has been Premier since the PLP win in July 2017, staying in place to continue leading the party and the country. In the deputy leadership contest, Renee Ming suffered the same fate as Mr. Dickinson, as Walter Roban retained his position as deputy leader. Bermuda, the PLP made their decision. It's now over to you. Well, in police news, Sherry, around 1:55 p.m. yesterday, looks like reported two-vehicle collision occurred at the junction of Malabar Road and Hayden Road in Sands Parish. It appears that a motorcyclist was traveling east along Malabar Road, and a West End Development Corporation truck was being driven in the opposite direction when the vehicles collided, as the truck driver, said to be a 47-year-old Pembroke man, attempted to make a right turn onto Hayden Road. The rider, said to be a 33-year-old St. George's man, apparently suffered injuries to his legs, and it was initially treated at the crash site by EMTs. He was then transported by ambulance to King Edward Memorial Hospital, conscious and breathing, for further treatment. The truck driver was not hurt. Traffic diversions were in effect for approximately 3 hours while the scene was processed, and motorists in the area experienced some delays as a result. Inquiries into this are, they're continuing, and witnesses are being encouraged to call 211 or email 211@bps.bm. Jerry,
Accidents in Bermuda. Accidents in Bermuda.
Yeah, slow down, folks. Slow down. I don't know what the weather is in Bermuda today, so I'm gonna ask everybody just to, if you haven't been outside, look outside, put your toe outside, and for those who have been outside, let us know what the weather is so that the rest of the audience does know. That's your People's Pharmacy Daily Hour News Break today. Sherry, what you got for days of the year?
Well, hopefully this will help everyone be happy and excited, and just kind of off of Chef's Day. Today is the International Day of the Nacho. I love a little nacho, Jamel. It's one of America's favorite Tex-Mex treats, and you get permission to eat nachos for a full 24 hours. This day should be full of nachos in their delicious forms, covered with cheese and with all kinds of delicious additions such as black beans, olives, chili, and so on, you name it. Do you like nachos, Jamel? You look like a nacho eater.
Other nachos without
Because you
cheese?
got taco meat.
Can there be nachos without cheese?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, well, I could do nachos. Yeah, I could do nachos. Yeah, I could do it.
Okay. Yeah. I know how to make my own chips and everything.
Oh, really?
I'm just saying. Yeah, it's real easy, Jamel.
Okay, and everybody's still surviving. We've got some weather here. Karen Simmons says 77 degrees, mostly cloudy. Mark Arthur C. Phillips says the sun is shining. This is great.
36 degrees out here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Well, yeah, she's freezing. Dawn here was like 66 this morning. Folks, you don't want to miss this weekend. So if you are free and not watching the NFL Sunday evening, I just put the link right here. Jamel Hartman Unscripted with Power Girl, Bermuda's Power Girl, Katrina Power Girl O'Connor Painter will be joining us for a conversation. And it's going to be intimate. It's going to be deep. It's going to be personal. So make sure I just put the link in the chat. You can come over on 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Bermuda for a live conversation with Bermuda's Power Girl. And we will be getting very personal and deep. And, I appreciate her for so many reasons. And I wasn't going to say it on this show, but I'll say it, is the example that I was using earlier of how you don't have to be in politics to make a difference. She's involved in so many things, and she is a force to be reckoned with. So make sure you tune into that conversation. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back with our guest for the day. Do not go anywhere.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's. I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Sherry Vanderpool, I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. Look, welcome to our newest members. Again, we appreciate you in the comments. Mark Arthur C. Phillips in there this morning, Rashida Godwin, Karen Simmons. Folks, you too can become a member by subscribing and then hitting the join button underneath the live video on YouTube. Only those who have joined our YouTube channel and upstanding members of the TDH community will be eligible for all giveaways and prizes going forward. We will be doing a giveaway at the end of this show as well. So yeah, join me for that. Time for the daily play. Well, it's not time for the daily play. It's time for our guest for today. Look at me, just skipping on by. Let's bring our guest. We've got Lisa Reed from the Human Rights Commission. Let's get, we're not going to get the laughing crowd. We're going to get the cheering crowd. Let's give a round of applause for our guest as we welcome her to the studio. Good morning, good morning. They're going crazy for you. They are going crazy for you. Look at that, look at that, look at that.
Good morning, Jamel and Sherry.
Good morning.
Welcome,
Nice
welcome.
to see you.
Thank you for having us. We're delighted to be here.
No problem, no problem. Let's get right to it. So first question is how we need to start this conversation off is basically just explaining to us what is the role of the Human Rights Commission?
So the Human Rights Commission is Bermuda's national human rights institution. And just by way of background, the Human Rights Act was established in 1981 to provide domestic legislation, human rights legislation that extended those constitutional rights and freedoms already enshrined within the Bermuda Constitution Order. And it was intended to broaden the protections such as freedoms from discrimination and harassment. And the commission was established the year after in 1982, and the office is responsible for the administration of the Human Rights Act. And the commission is one of the independent non-ministry departments that sits alongside other independent offices, such as the Information Commissioner's Office and the Office of the Privacy Commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I just wanted to also frame one quick point because there might be a question around, well, what are human rights?
Well, I want to get to that. Yes, I definitely want to get to that. That is a big discussion and argument because, I mean, as you heard earlier, you know, my own personal situation with conscription. But what I mean, and maybe you can answer in this next question, but why is an organization like the Human Rights Commission actually necessary and important for Bermuda?
So the Human Rights Act and the Commission matter because all members of our community should be able to experience their full freedoms and rights as individuals, free from discrimination and free from harassment. And we know that legislation alone does not create environments free from discrimination. However, the legal protection definitely supports public advocacy to uphold and advance human rights, and to hold those to account, those who violate human rights. And so the Act also reflects our national commitment to uphold the fundamental dignity and worth of the individual. And so essentially the Act becomes impactful and meaningful when it is applied to daily life and informs the decisions we make and the way we engage with each other. And so it requires us to look through a human rights lens or just a human lens and to ask questions about equal access, exclusion, and opportunity. For example, it means looking at a curriculum or a program or a policy being developed and asking, is it inclusive? Who can access this? Who is missing? Who benefits? Is it discriminatory in some way? And so we encourage that by taking a human rights based approach, provides us the opportunity to look at human rights not just purely from a legal instrument, but effectively creating policies, practices, and practical realities that shift from just words on a page.
So
Oh, wow.
so what? And I guess it brings me here. You know, who does the Human Rights Act protect? Because I remember reading, actually some months ago, that Bermuda's Human Rights Act was one of the most interesting in the world because it protected Bermudians when it was written, not non-Bermudians. Is this to be true or is it misunderstood?
I think that's misunderstood. The Human Rights Act protects all residents in Bermuda from discrimination and harassment. And discrimination is the unequal or less favorable treatment based on a protected ground or personal characteristic. And harassment is a comment or conduct which is vexatious and which is known or ought reasonably to be known as unwelcome. And so people are free from discrimination because of the prescribed list of grounds within the Act, which include race, sex, and disability, and within prescribed areas such as goods, facilities, and services, housing, employment, harassment.
Interesting. And so, Ms. Reed, what services does the Human Rights Commission provide to the public?
So the commission provides dispute resolution services for all members of the community. And so when an individual feels that they have experienced discrimination or harassment, they can approach the commission to file a complaint or address a query. Sometimes people just have questions around what their rights are. However, if someone wanted to file a complaint, they would contact the commission and work with an intakes officer. One of the things that I also wanted to say is that the commission is not just a complaints handling authority. We also are a watchdog for compliance, and we serve as a public resource to support understanding of human rights obligations under the Act. So some of our work includes working with stakeholders, providing consultations to those who seek to understand their compliance with the Act. We also facilitate educational presentations and public awareness, such as why we're on the Daily Hour to participate and encourage your listening audience to understand more about our work. We also partner with groups to provide education in support of human rights principles. And we also provide policy recommendations to progress the evolution of the Act through legislative amendments and to highlight where limitations or gaps in protections may exist.
You mentioned that part of the process of filing a complaint is that someone will call your intake personnel. What else is part of that process, and how long does that process usually take?
Sure. So let me first start off by saying our offices are located at Milner Place, 32 Victoria Street, which is in the gate across from Sears near the shopping center. Or you can call our offices at 295-5859, or you can email at humanrights@gov.bm. And so in essence, you can walk in, you can phone, write, email. And all queries and complaints are confidentially logged. And a screening function is conducted for all complaints or queries against the protections afforded under the Act. So part of our role is to assess whether we can best assist or if we can provide appropriate referrals. So there may be instances when someone comes and let's say they have a complaint that does not fall necessarily within our jurisdiction, we would work to refer them to other agencies. So it could be a referral to immigration, workforce development, the Bermuda Police, the Ombudsman's Office, Women's Resource Center, just to name a few. And so an intake officer will work with the member of the public to better understand the complaint or query and how we can assist. And this includes considering whether a protected characteristic and an adverse impact have been identified, and whether there is a connection between the two. And so where a matter is referred for investigation, parties of the complaint are offered the opportunity to resolve the complaint through the Commission's voluntary mediation program, where parties are often able to mutually resolve their complaints. And in circumstances where they are unable to reach a resolution or decline to participate in mediation, following an investigation where the complaint appears to be meritorious, the complaint is referred to the Human Rights Tribunal for adjudication.
So quick question, just jump in. So, and I just need to understand this more so for me. The Human Rights Commission will only, and I'm wondering if the act only defines discrimination or of civil rights abuse based on law. It's only based on law. So meaning what I guess I'm asking is there are legal forms of discrimination, right? So
that's correct.
Many legal forms are to protect us. And for the audience sake, what I mean by legal is if someone has a criminal record of theft, well, a bank and they're not going to be hired as a cashier or at a bank as a teller because their history isn't helpful for that organization. So that company may be allowed to discriminate based on that person's criminal record, right? So I want to just let the audience know that. But your job is to basically go by the letter of the law, or is it like someone that says, well, the law says this is okay, but it's still discrimination?
That's a great question. So first of all, you are correct that there are some allowable forms of discrimination. So for instance, it's allowable for a school to be able to only invite a particular sex to the school. That's an allowable form of discrimination. And there are, the act speaks to bona fide occupational reasons for discrimination. So it might be an instance where someone with a as you use the example of a criminal conviction, if someone was convicted of theft, it's possible that they may not be hired as a cashier at the local mom and pop grocery store. However, it still depends on the particular circumstances in that, our role is, yes, to look and consider the letter of the law, but as well, we also encourage the spirit of the act, which is one, evolutionary, and as well is, what's the word I'm looking for? It's aspirational. So, we recognize that discrimination and harassment occurs. However, it is the spirit and the aspiration of should be the aspirations of all of us within the community to want a society that is free from discrimination and harassment.
Indeed. Okay. If you have any questions for Ms. Reed, please send them. We'll get through as many comments and questions as possible. We have a question from the audience for you. Charles H. Jefferson II says, it protects just residents. What about visitors?
The act specifically protects residents of Bermuda, and that is defined in the interpretations. So, however, if someone were to be visiting, again, anyone can approach the commission. So even if someone was visiting the commission, even if the act did not take jurisdiction, we're still going to try and work with that individual to understand what the circumstances of what they experienced and provide appropriate referrals where possible to somewhere else that might be able to assist.
Got you.
Got a comment here, which is, it kind of goes on the back of what you were saying. Carla J saying, ladies' nights at a bar or senior citizen discounts are acceptable forms of discrimination, if possible. And again, this is just off the fly, because I don't think people know. I actually got in an argument about 5 years ago on Facebook. Yeah, I know, me and an argument on Facebook. But I got in an argument with someone on Facebook who disagreed. Right? I was saying there's legal forms of discrimination. Not all forms of discrimination's bad. And the argument was basically because a politician had said, oh, I'm against all forms of discrimination, which I think is the most silly comment ever, because certain forms of discrimination are to protect people. but they're
Right.
also to help people. But can you just explain, if possible, what are some other legal forms of discrimination and the ones that are there actually to protect people or help people like the seniors right there? I mean, I think one that comes to mind for me, and I go in these diversity, equity, and inclusion meetings, and I always feel like disabled people are forgotten. So I would say to me,
Yes.
when I worked at an arena, um, you know, all the parking spots out front were for disabled, vehicles. And people would say, "Oh, why you have so many?" And I'm like, "You really don't know what like you'll need until you need it, right?" And so I think that that's a misunderstood one where it may be discriminating, given people, you know, easier access. That's what some people will think, but it's necessary. It's a necessary form of discrimination to help people, right?
That's correct. So, again, it comes down to what's the society, what type of society do we want?
Mhm.
And an example, just to answer your question about another example, is a senior who may need uh, in-house care.
Mhm.
It would be acceptable. It's a burn if the applicant or the person applying on behalf of the senior were to apply, sorry, not to apply, were to advertise for a job and request that, let's say the senior was female and
Mhm.
she was seeking a caregiver who is female, that would not be discriminatory because there is they would be setting out a bona fide occupational reason for the preference over a male.
Hmm.
Mm. Interesting.
Absolutely. And just to go back to what you said, Jamal, in regards to that, the US has the Americas Disability Act. And, I don't know how much of Bermuda does, but that is definitely necessary for vulnerable persons or people who are disabled, rather than the latter. So it's very interesting that we don't have that in Bermuda as much as we should.
And I want to touch on that because during my years in tourism, the ADA would come up a lot. I would bring people to Bermuda for trips, and some hotels didn't have, you know, certain access, right? There was a lot of walking upstairs and so on, and then some had the shuttles that would take people down and up. My response to it would always be, well, Bermuda doesn't have the space. Is that I mean, and I'm asking honestly, was that a reasonable response? Because I think it's when we talk about rights, it's so broad. It's so broad.
Yeah.
And I'm learning that, over time being in the United States, that I mean, everything's all right. But just want to switch to religion real quickly. Now, we mentioned all, what's it called? Gender. We have a Seventh-day Adventist school, right? Bermuda Institute. What would it be? What would they fall under in terms of human rights, for instance, if they say you have to be? And I'm not saying this is the case, folks. I'm
Right.
not saying this is the case. Let me be clear. I don't know what the rules are, but let's say they said you had to be a Seventh-day Adventist to be an educator at the school. Where would that fall?
That would fall under, again, occupational requirement.
Mhm.
And so, again, for instance, there are schools that can advertise based on if it is a faith-based school, they can advertise for teachers or people within administration. Actually, I believe it's teachers and higher administration that can uh, that are of the same faith.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Hmm.
And we got a question from the audience. Mark Arthur C. Phillips asking, does the Human Rights Commission suggest to government ways in which the Human Rights Act should be changed? Interesting.
Good question.
Yes, actually, government is one of our stakeholders, just like other organizations and individuals within the community. And so we do make policy recommendations to the government on the advancement of of protections within the act. Certainly.
All right. Sherry, you have another question?
I do. Where can people learn more about the Human Rights Commission and or contact you should they need to do so?
Our website, humanrights.bm, www.humanrights.bm. It is chock full of information regarding rights protection. Our annual reports are housed on our website. Human rights judgments are housed. And so definitely visit our website. And as well, stop by our offices. We are always looking forward to talking with members of the community. Sometimes Jamal, you spoke about visitors. From time to time, visitors will come to our office and just learn about our services and just engage with us about human rights and what it's like in Bermuda. As well, we also have, right now we have an intern working with us. So it's another way that we're able to, provide education and provide exposure to our work. But as well, call us and write us, contact us so that we can, help to better understand the rights that we are afforded through the act, and also understand how we can be better practicers or practice better the way that we should be engaging with each other.
Indeed. Honestly, thank you for this conversation. And I feel like there's so much more we can touch on, because to be honest, I didn't have the idea to speak about lawful discrimination this morning, but I just feel this conversation should be ongoing. My hope is that people understand what the Human Rights Act is, what it does, how they're protected, but also what your office does. I think it's important, especially as Bermuda is a very small community. And there are things happening that people are not happy with.
Yeah.
They need to know that there's help out there. There's resources out there. There are services out there. So thank you in your office for trusting our platform to have this conversation, especially on a hot day like this.
Thank you, Jamal.
And please know that should you need us, just please reach out. We're happy to have you back and continue the conversation.
Thank you.
No problem. Talk soon.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
All right. Lisa Reed from the Human Rights Commission. Folks, if you appreciated that conversation, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you go visit their website, humanrights.bm. Folks, check it out. When I went on their website, honestly, Sherry, I was like, it's one of the most, how can I say,
informative.
Yeah, informative websites you'll get in Bermuda.
Yes.
Like it's a tab for everything, seriously. So go check it out, humanrights.bm. You'll probably learn a lot that you did not know that you wanted to know. Thanks again to Ms. Lisa Reed for stopping by. Folks, we're going to do a giveaway after this break. But as just mentioned, give us a thumbs up, like, subscribe. And if you haven't already, make sure you join. I mean, I don't know what's stopping you from joining, but just become a member of our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on some cool stuff that's coming up, especially the giveaways, which we're going to do a giveaway after this break with a hashtag. So do not go anywhere. Stick with us. Oh, and the feuds today, Sherry.
Well, I'm on a roll, so.
All right, butter. Oh, sorry.
A lot happens around your home. That is why at One Communications, we have introduced affordable security and video monitoring, because everyone should be able to afford to protect their family. Anytime, from anywhere, One Home Security keeps you connected and puts security in your hands with an easy-to-use smartphone app to control everything. Home security is important to keep you and your family safe. Motion-activated cameras around your home and security monitoring within create a complete security system providing protection both inside and outside your home. Professional monitoring means that there's someone on call with 24/7 protection to notify the authorities and help keep you and your loved ones safe. We are dedicated to whole home protection with indoor and outdoor cameras, smart door locks, motion sensors, and more, so you'll always be connected to what matters most. With professional installation, no upfront hardware fees, and low monthly rates, because keeping your family safe should be affordable for everyone. Total home video monitoring and security. There's no better way to protect your home than with One Home Security.
All right, folks. Thanks again to Lisa Reed for stopping by from the Human Rights Commission. Folks, as I asked, if you appreciated that conversation, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share these conversations as well. You need to know your rights, and you need to know who works on your behalf to ensure that you're getting the services needed as a Bermudian. We're going to do a giveaway. And I want to thank One Communications, People's Pharmacy, Lindos, and Medical House for ensuring we're able to have these conversations. Also, you just saw the video. Don't forget this Sunday. First episode. Jamal Hartman Unscripted. Yeah. Power Girl.
I put it in my calendar.
Yeah, you put in your calendar. All right. Nah,
I talked to her yesterday. I told her, come on now.
No old jokes on Sunday for Sherry. No old jokes. I got to remember. Power Girl up there too. I'm joking. Bermuda's Power Girl, folks. You want to be part of the conversation this Sunday. Check it out. 8 p.m. Bermuda time. YouTube. My Jamal Hartman YouTube channel. Should be a very interesting conversation. As I said earlier, she is an example of how we can move our country forward without having to be so involved politically. It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Heineken 0.0. Great taste, no alcohol, and Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Sherry,
yes.
Are you ready?
I am.
All right, let me pick 3 cards. I haven't looked at them yet. All right, what's we got today? Let's see. Help her out, folks. It's the feud today. It's the feud. Welcome back, Christine Pierman. I did read somewhere you were sick for a bit, so we're happy to have you back and hopefully healthy and well. We appreciate your support. It's time for Daily Play. Here we go. First one, Sister Sherry.
Yes.
Name something people do to destroy or hide incriminating evidence.
They burn it.
Wow. You're a criminal, ain't you?
I am.
How'd you get it that fast? No, you got that. That's scary. How'd you get that fast?
Ask some of my ex-boyfriends.
Wow. All right. The late Lisa Left Eye Lopes, right? All right. Name a possession some people would like to be buried with.
Money. Jewelry.
That's number 2. Oh, she got it. Man, butter is rolling up on the bread today. All right. Last one. Well, Karen Simmons said burn it too, so I guess it's not that crazy.
Wow.
Name a musical instrument you do not blow into.
Guitar.
Wow. It only took her like
play this feature now.
It only took her like 5 years, but she's got
whatever.
She's
I've been on a rail this week.
Aunt Karen got them all first as well. Like you I think you two have been studying together. You know, Sherry, before we do the giveaway, right? Brother Charles asks, did we get a joke today? Well, we weren't in a joking mood earlier.
Come on.
So here's your joke for the day, folks. Here is your joke. This is your pick-me-up after such a, hard last 24 hours. Here we go.
It better be funny, Jamal.
Here we go. It's funny. What do you call an average potato?
Jamal. Idaho. I don't know. An average potato.
What do you call an average potato?
What are potatoes? What are the names? Russet. Average potato. I don't know.
You ready?
Yeah, Jamal.
A common tater.
That was not funny.
Stop.
That was nuts.
Stop.
And whoever in the audience is laughing,
Don't laugh.
Never not.
Yeah.
A commentator.
Yeah. Commentator. Yeah.
I can't look at a tater tot the same. No.
Yeah. Aunt Karen said Idaho too. Let's do this giveaway. Let's see who's got it. Hashtag Bermuda Trivia, folks. Hashtag Bermuda Trivia. And to answer this question, Karen Simmons asking, will there be a Bermuda Trivia Game 3 soon? Well, what I will say is your great niece will be releasing 3 Bermuda Trivias. Will be new editions will be on island in the next month. You will have the holiday edition. You will have the visitor edition and volume 2. So
and
3 new
Karen
editions.
Is competitive. So Karen's competitive.
Folks, you want to come to hashtag today is hashtag for the giveaway Bermuda Trivia. But yes, her actually, I'm being serious. Her great niece is the one producing the next 3 editions. So I'm very proud of that. But Bermuda trivia. There will be more. There will be more. Charles is saying sorry he asked. What, you didn't like
Yes.
that?
Thank you, Charles.
It's tough crowd out here. Tough crowd.
Sometimes you just have to let things roll.
Tough crowd.
Let things go.
Tough crowd.
Oh my gosh.
Sherry, final thoughts on today's show while people put their hashtag in.
Jamal, I don't know. Like, it's like, what is left to be said? You know, the delegates have spoken. It's like, where do we go now, and what is gonna happen? I just feel a sense of, as you said, disappointment. I was really hoping for a breath of fresh air. Like I said, I don't know what the Honorable Curtis Dickinson would have done, but it's like, we've got to do something different. And so I just disappointed, you know, but in regards to Miss Lisa Reed of the Human Rights Commission, it was finally nice to speak with her. I have passed her many times throughout the years because we used to work in the same area and never had a conversation with her. So it was great to find out from her basically what the role of the Human Rights Commission is and what it's all about. So definitely go check her out.
Yeah, I agree with you, Sherry. It's been said. Now it's time for action. As I said earlier, as I said on my personal Twitter, the delegates made their decision. Bermuda, it's now over to you. As far as human rights, I really do hope that people understand their rights. Part of the problem is people don't know their rights. Once you understand your rights, right, you have a better understanding of where to go and how to process whatever issues you're having. So I appreciate her coming on. Michelle White, I love you, man. I will give you a laugh. I'm still laughing. Good one, Jamal. Thank you. Look, man, I love Sister Michelle.
Oh my God, Sister Michelle. Nay, it was dry and boring. And Charles is even regretting that he even asked.
Yeah, he's sitting in the hater chairs right now. Let's do this giveaway, Sherry. Let's do this giveaway because yeah, hate's not it's not becoming. All right, here we go. Let's see who it's gonna be. Who's gonna be? Big money.
No whammies.
Big money. Here we go. Mark Arthur C. Phillips. All right,
Awesome.
cousin Mark. All right, let's give him everyone. All right, folks. When you win, just send that email to engage@thedailyhour.com. Engage@thedailyhour.com. Send an email there. Sherry, you got some inspiration before we head out for the weekend?
I do. Happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions. Dalai Lama.
Hey, you heard that, folks? It's a one-off.
Right on time, right?
Each and every one of us, right on time, Sister Sherry. Thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you on Monday. She's Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamal Harp, and my friends, please do make it a safe and a great, weekend. We're out.
Weekend.
Yeah, peace.